was in an apartment where there were lots of people. They were all talking to each other, eating and drinking. I went into the restroom when I heard the TV saying something had happened, but it was good news. So I shouted out to my friend to see if they had heard these good news. I can't remember what these news were. The bathroom was all white tile and the lights were bright, but gave off a bluish tint. Then I saw a man with a heavy build, wearing a white tank, blue jeans, and a gold chain necklace. He had short, curly, ashy hair. He looked very scary. He had a very mean scowl on his face. He pushed the doors and locked me in the bathroom. At first I stayed calm like it was no big deal. I started looking around the bathroom for a way to escape and found a long window not too high up. I could still reach it. I don't know how, but somehow I ended up back to the party, and that's when I sensed danger. That's when the man grabbed me and he wouldn't let me go. I cried out for help, but everybody else seemed preoccupied with whatever they were doing. I seemed to be moving in slow motion for a bit and thought, how could nobody see what's going on? Then, I was suddenly taken outside by a thinner man. There were children outside, waiting, scared. I knew I wasn't the same age as the other children, but I knew I wasn't as old as I am now. I was probably in my early teen years. All these other children looked like they were between the ages of 8 and 12. It was completely pitch black, except for the few street lamps outside and the lights from the windows from the apartments. The apartments looked familiar, like apartments I used to go to as a child. They looked like a combination of my grandparents' and best friend's apartments from my childhood. I'm pretty sure I've dreamt about these apartments before in a different dream. I remember getting a few seconds to stand and really observe my surroundings. I remember the doors being a dark green. Then, I heard children screaming. I heard a little girl yelling for help. She was screaming at the top of her lungs. I could feel the desperation and fear in her voice. I could feel it in my chest and it shook me badly. A boy about my age looked like he had been helping kids escape and was trying to find where her voice was coming from. But her voice seemed to come from all directions. I heard gunshots. That's when a little girl next to me told me to run, because that was the Wolfman. This wolf person liked to kill children, and immediately I knew it was the same man who had locked me inside the bathroom. He seemed to be going from room to room, killing. Loud gunshots everywhere. A white van appeared with the same thin man from earlier. He was inside, signaling for us to get in. I and a whole group of children started running. A few got in, but I wasn't fast enough. The van was getting full, and the Wolfman had already headed down the stairs. The van left me. Gunshots were still being fired. I could hear in the background. And somehow in my head while running away, I got a mental picture of what was inside that apartment where the screaming was coming from. It was 2 girls looking down at the dead body of a 3rd girl. There was blood spilled everywhere. The room had nothing but the same white tile and the same bluish tinted lights. The boy and I ran across the street. We were both in panic. I asked where we could go, but he looked just as confused. The last thing I remember is watching him jump over the fence. Then, I woke up.